at a time. Boi Kala, welcome the bride of Shabbat. Welcome all of you. We're so grateful to have you with us, just Cantor and I, here in the sanctuary. Some of you on Facebook, you might be able to see all the pictures that are shining at us. Thank you for those of you that sent in pictures. They are so beautiful. And Nancy McGorry, I think these are just the most amazing pictures. And we are going to save these pictures. We're going to put them all around the synagogue once this is over. Thank you for making us feel a little less alone in here. It's really wonderful. And really thank you to Nancy for taking care of that part and for our whole team and making this happen. I can imagine now that you know what we're talking about, you'll send in your own pictures. We'd love to fill more. We only have a couple of rows so far. And we have plenty of space for more pictures of you guys. So we welcome you here to Shabbat. This Shabbat has special resonance for a number of reasons. First of all, I have my rainbow kippah here. I don't know if you can see it. And that's for Pride Shabbat. And that's a really important part of this weekend. It was originally going to be Pride Weekend, and of course that's all been changed. Also from the Reform Action Center, they're calling this Justice Shabbat. This is a time when we're really in need of justice, and so we also take on the mantle of justice. For all of you out there, I know these are very trying times that try the best of us, and I hope that you're hanging in there. We're really glad you're here. I was thinking about the image of greeting Shabbat, which Cantor really sang about. Boi Kala. We want Shabbat to come to us. It's a really gentle way of welcoming in Shabbat. And sometimes it's like that. We get everything done, and we're relaxed, we make the table, we have our meal and our candles. It's a beautiful thing. But I find sometimes Shabbat just arrives because our life has been so hectic, and we need it so much. And we don't even need to welcome her in. She's just there. Just by being part of the stream, just by turning on Shabbat, she's there. And we need her so desperately this week. So we welcome Shabbat, and we're going to continue to sing in joyous melody to you. So it's that time where I'm going to call our synagogue president, Bruce Corus, who is always out there serving the needs of community. So grateful for his help and support over this time, and offer him strength during it.
Hello, Rabbi.
Hey, Bruce, I think I got you on.
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Okay, great. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Usually I begin by saying I hope you have had an uneventful week. This has been an eventful week here in Western New York. It has been a very difficult week, and I hope that you all find a little bit of peace here tonight with our service. Speaking of services, I cannot tell you how nice it was to see so many of you Saturday night at our drive-in Havdalah service. And I know you were frustrated to be here at Temple but not be able to get out of your car and schmooze with your friends, but I also know how much you enjoyed just being here. And I'm so glad that I was able to be here to greet you at your cars, and seeing all of your faces, it just brought me so much joy. Thank you to Rabbi and Cantor and Joanne for all their work on the logistics, and Kyle for his work on the setup, especially for the setup and the teardown and the setup and the teardown. We changed our mind a few times along the way, so Kyle was going with the flow, and we appreciate that. This was a step in the right direction. No, it was not a giant step. It was certainly not the final step, but it was a step forward. It was an important step forward. We'll be taking another step with our next drive-in service next week. I'll have details on that later in the announcements, along with a very long list of what's coming up in the next week, as we continue to do everything we can to keep you connected with the temple and with each other. We will continue to take whatever steps we can, while always being prudent and putting your safety first, following the guidance from local and state officials, and of course, using our best judgment. I can't thank you enough for your patience and support during this challenging time. And I don't say this nearly enough. Thank you for being part of the Shir Shalom family. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, Bruce. We'll talk to you soon.
Great.
So you might notice I said it's just Cantor and I. We were talking before. It's like a stripped-down service, which is kind of nice. Just so you know, nothing's wrong with Paul. He just had a pre-commitment. He's perfectly fine, and we'll have him back again. We'll have all sorts of arrangements during this time, and real life happens. It's been 3 months now, basically. So let's see. We are ready for candles. Before we do, I'm going to actually put on my tallis so we could start. Those of you that joined us in our candle blessing, I'm so grateful that you were there. Everyone is invited. If you have any challenges getting on, just let Joanne know. It's at 6:45 every week, and we're really grateful. So nice to see so many faces on that. But that means our candles are already lit. So if you have candles at home that you haven't lit already, I encourage you to turn to page 120. And by the way, as we're doing this, if you are on some social media that you can talk to one another, please give shout-outs to each other, wish each other Shabbat Shalom. I love seeing the messages, and I know Cantor does as well, afterwards. It's so sweet. I love watching the one time Paul Staley's daughter wrote to him. And I know Cantor's daughters reached out a couple times too. So we're going to turn to our candle lighting. If you light your candles, and then we're going to bring in the lights of Shabbat, and I'll turn it over to Cantor to lead the melody.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadikner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are the candles that light our way to the Sabbath. And then we pick up our grape juice or wine or whatever drink you have there. Apparently, the one thing that's gone up in production are bottles, apparently. They did a survey of recycling. And the one part of recycling that's gotten a lot more are a lot of bottles from all the people laying back and enjoying some wine, I guess. So if you want to lift up your glass, the blessing is on page 123. And please join in with me if you know it, and please sing throughout the service. We really appreciate that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'yava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim, to life. As we turn to the L'chadodi, actually beforehand I have a poem to read that seemed evocative of this time. It was written after the shooting in New Zealand, but it's about our struggle to connect with one another, whether we're in person or in cyberspace. We are so far away from one another in this pulsing body, we can only reach so far. Our internal thoughts form a circular wall over which our eyes strain to see. I want to love you, but I am constrained. What do you even look like? I listened to the girl describe the shooting. It is across the ocean, and yet in pictures, the mosque where it happened resembles her own. And now her parents worry about leaving her alone. In books, we could learn about human interactions that occurred lifetimes ago. And yet here on earth, the steps of my house feel too steep, and there are only 3 of them. They say the air we breathe is the same as it has always been, our molecules part of the fabric of the universe. We are so far away from one another, too far to realize we are all the same. As we bring in Shabbat, I'm going to do an exercise with you that we did at a Hillel board meeting this week. I want you to picture where you'd like to be right now, beyond this pandemic and this moment we're in this country. Where would you like to go? Picture those happy places that maybe we haven't been able to visit. Picture those things that bring you joy that maybe you've been separated from. I want you to think about it. If you're with people and you feel up to it, share it with them. If you're on Facebook or another place where you can write it down, write it there. Tell us and bring those places to life. That is where Shabbat resides. It resides in those places we love, with the people we love. We're going to turn to page 138 for Lecha Dodi, and we're singing just the first and the fourth verses.
Actually, like the ninth.
Oh, sorry.
which is
Yes,
four
the
in
first
the-
and the
yeah.
ninth verses, yes.
Right, Bowie, right.
So, in the structure of the poem, we're going from the first to the last on 138 and 139. We will welcome Shabbat in, and on the final verse, what we'll do is we'll rise, we'll face wherever you are, imagine that place. Feel like it's right there, close your eyes, and we bow as Shabbat enters into our life. Again, 138, 139.
La 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 lecha dodi, la 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 lekrakala, la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat lekabela, la 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 lecha dodi, la 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 lekrakala, la 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 b'nei Shabbat. Shamor v'zachor v'diporecha ishmiyanu el hamiuchad Adonai echad v'shmo echad Yeshimu tiferet v'litila Lai 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 lecha dodi Lai 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 lekrakala Lai 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 b'nei Shabbat b'nei Shabbat lekabela Bowie v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha u'sola Tov kemunei Am sekula Lo bichala Lo bichala Yai lai lai La 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 lecha dodi La 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 lekrakala La 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 b'nei Shabbat b'nei Shabbat lekabela La 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 lecha dodi La 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 lekrakala La 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 b'nei Shabbat b'nei Shabbat lekabela
Welcome Shabbat, welcome all of you. We're so grateful that you're here with us in spirit, if not in body. And we're going to sing one of my favorites. And actually, I'm curious, because this song, Shalom Aleichem, on 142, goes way back. It always feels Yiddish, even though it isn't. Is this something that you remember from your childhood at all?
Definitely.
There's something so beloved in it. It always strikes me, I've shared it before, but my grandmother, who knew no prayers towards the end of her life, she always could sing Shalom Aleichem. I love that.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boker Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon. V'melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nideh Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon. V'melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Say to him Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon. V'melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We welcome Shabbat, welcome the spirits of Shabbat, welcome the angels of Shabbat. And let's turn to page 146 as we rise, if you're able, or straighten your knees, wherever you are, for the Baruch Hu.
La la la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la, sing with me. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. La 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. La la la, la 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 la, la 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 la. La la la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
We welcome the evening twilight as it sneaks in here on page 148. A lot of you are familiar. Cantor has taught this many times. Roll into dark, and then we'll go right into the Shema on 152.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Sing with me. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Boreo, balayla, bolelo bipnei choshech, bolelo bipnei choshech, choshech mipanei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
Page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
as you're sitting down, if you have a prayer book, a Mishkan Tefillah, and we do have copies, just talk to Joanne if you'd like one, or you can get it at the CCR website as well. There's two letters that stand out there, really call out to us on the Shabbat, the large ayin at the end of Shema and the dalid at the end of echad. And the rabbis teach us that those letters, ayin and dalid, form a word, aid, witness. How can we serve as a witness? Let's read together the English on 155, and please join with me wherever you are as we call out to be a witness. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. What powerful words at this moment. And we are, let's turn to 157. I'm going to read with you. I love this reading. We're always in Egypt, wherever we are. The top reading. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt. That there is a better place, a promised land. That the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. And we turn to the Micha Mocha, that song of revolution, page 158. Let's turn to the Amidah. I invite you to rise, standing prayer, page 164. I think I forgot to tell them to sit down before. They might have been standing this whole time. Well, you poor things. All right. Well, sorry, you're standing again. Page 164, if you're able, as we move into the Amidah, our standing prayer, and Cantor will continue through 170.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agitin latecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Ivotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaKippur v'Hanorah, Edayon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevii Geula Livnei B'neihem, B'man Shema V'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Abraham V'Yizrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol, Atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatah, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayei Hakol, V'Rachamim Rabim, Samech Noflim, V'Rofei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayim Emunato, V'Shedei Afor, V'Kamocha Bar Gevurut, U'Midov Elav, Melech Nevi, U'Mechayim, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Atar Chachayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei Yaakov, Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'Kol Yom Yehallelu Chasedna, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Take a couple minutes to find the holiness that surrounds you, either seated or standing, and we'll proceed after our prayers. Page 178, Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Hamcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Hamcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atah melech adon,
do we need peace? What a beautiful song, Shalom Rav, a great peace. That's what we need. We're going to turn now to our healing prayers. There's so many of you out there in need of healing. If you do have names and you want them read, you can write to Nancy McGorry. I think we all could use a little healing now. And I'm going to read our list of names just to let you know. The Mishaberach can be found, the Prayer for Healing, page 371 in the prayer book. Today we're thinking about Irving Atlas, Atara Ayelet, Vivian Bierkowitz, Gloria Berzone, Peter Coyle, Kathy and Chris Crawford, Glorine Curtis, Bobby DeBruin, Sydney Ehrenreich, Don Galinsky, Saul Glina, Cheryl and Dennis Halpin, Greg Hill, Beth Q, Natasha Kokin, Carol Kuzmowski, Jeffrey Howard Krebs, Marcy Leonard, Barbara Trieger Lupkin, Diane Lynch, Robin Mordant Kress, Larry Perlitz, Joni Schwartz, Barbara Shapiro, Flora Snett, Aileen Savransky, Laura Spire, George Tirabassi III, Eleanor Weiss, Carla Weissman, Deborah Bat Sherwood, Abraham Ben Moshe, Sarah Bat Chava, Malka Bat Naftali, Kayla Bat Miriam, Miriam Friedel, Gershom Ben Mira, Tinok Ben Rivka, Gershom Ben Shlomo, Levi Ben Gedalia, and Dina Leah Bat Miriam. Cantor, did you have any other names you wanted to add? So we say your names out loud, wherever you are. And we'll take all those names in as we sing the Mishaberach.
May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu b'kol habracha. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
A complete healing of body and soul. We also wanted to bring another blessing in, which is part of our Torah service from this weekend, from this Shabbat. We're in Parshat Naso, the second portion in Numbers, and it has our favorite blessing. Cantor and I do it very often, and we haven't had a chance to do it so often since the pandemic. We really want to send this blessing out to you. Before we do it, we're going to invite you to the Torah. I want you to pretend like you're touching the Torah. I'm actually going to bring it over to you so you can see the words. We'll see if it works, and then we'll chant it together. So hold on. Not sure if you saw that, it's a little dark, but hope you were able to see. I hope you were able to touch the Torah. We'll say the blessing together. Baruch hu et Adonai havorach, Baruch Adonai havorach leolam vaed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. The priestly blessing.
Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha ken yehi ratzon.
May God bless you and watch over you.
Adonai panav elecha v'yihuneka ken yehi ratzon.
May God's face shine upon you and grant you comfort.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom ken yehi ratzon.
May God lift God's face to you and grant you and all of us peace. So I'm going to come over. I'm going to show it to you one more time. We'll see if you see it. It's a poem in the Torah, so you'll notice the indentations are different, even if you can't read the Hebrew.
If you hold it in front of this light here also, like once you get, just turn, if you could turn it around.
Cantor had a good idea. Okay, let's say our final blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah temeh v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Yesher koach. Beautiful job. And if you were risen, you can sit down now. I have to tell you, those of you that send in pictures, it is so sweet. I feel like you're looking at me. And what I love about the pictures that were sent in, they're mostly from really happy moments in your life. Most of them I don't think are from this period that we're in right now. They're taken a long time ago. We have a picture from, I don't know, the Greek Isles, it looks like, and things people in people's workspaces. We have a lot in the synagogue with beautiful pictures outside. They're really, really wonderful portraits of our community, and it's so wonderful. It's only by seeing one another's face that we can really look into God's face. I think that's what it means. Lift up God's face towards you. Lift up God's countenance. Because when we look up, we can see fully one another. Of course, at this time, I'm standing here with a mask on. You can't see my expression. That's often, something about this time that's really alienating from one another. So wonderful to find new creative ways to connect. So I'm actually going to do something that I haven't done in quite a while. I'm going to show you my face. Whew. Very different type of experience. I want to be able to address you more face-to-face. I'm going to share some parts of my life. Last week I shared some of my health concerns. I want you to know I feel so much better, and I really appreciate any blessings that were sent my way, and I appreciate that greatly. I'm going to tell you about a piece of my life, actually, I haven't talked about for quite some time. It's a very powerful story, and it has to do with the moment we're in, and really knowing our community. This Torah portion, before we read the priestly blessing, was about the factions that existed in our ancient Israelite community, the different tribes. We celebrate these different tribes. but it also meant that there were divisions between them. The rabbis actually talk about crossing the sea. There was so much angst about being with one tribe to the next that God actually had to have 12 different pathways to freedom. What an awful, awful experience. And I also noticed after the priestly blessing, we don't talk a lot about tribes. They kind of disappear. We become B'nai Yisrael. That's our question today. How do we become one country, one world? It's really hanging over us. But I think at the beginning, what I'd like to do, we've talked a lot in the media about George Floyd's death, just horrendous. And there's really no words, as I said, to express it. But we also should really celebrate his life more than his death. And I just want to read a little bit from the eulogies yesterday that was in the paper. I think that captured just this wonderful spirit he had. This is what his family said about him. Everywhere you go and see people, how they cling to him. They wanted to be around him, he said. Being in the house with my brother, it was inspiring because my mom used to take in other kids and they were George's friends. His brother recalled sharing a bed with his big brother. Together they played football and ate banana and mayonnaise sandwiches and used an oven to dry their socks. One of his cousins, Sharuda Tate, said, "The thing I miss about him is his hugs. He was just this big giant." I want to take in really that spirit, and I want to show you a little piece of myself. I'm going to bring it over, show it you a little closer. I brought this avatar. A lot of you have been creating avatars. I know Facebook has a new program that encourages it. This is actually not one I created. I'm going to show it to you in the light over here. This was actually created a long time before Facebook. This is supposed to be me, but it was created by someone who hadn't seen me in 30 years. And the story I'm going to tell is about who this person was from 30 years ago, and about a friendship that's really come back into my life that's really a blessing to me. I'll show Cantor over here too. Actually, pretty much looks like me, even though the person hadn't seen me in 30 years. It's quite incredible. All of us have our stories, really, that are different, our expectations. Sometimes we make assumptions about each other's lives, and we really don't know. So I'm going to share a little bit about who that person was from 30 years ago, where I grew up. I've told you before, I grew up in West Philadelphia. I don't think I've fully explained what that meant. I grew up really on the divide between what we would call the hood and the more gentrified area of West Philadelphia. The part of the city that I grew up in was pretty rough. My next door neighbor was a prostitute. 2 blocks down from me, there was a crack house. There were guns on the street. This was a very, very tough neighborhood, but it was a strange place to live as well. Just 1 block in front of me, on 46th and Osage, there were tennis courts and large houses that were really disconnected from this area. And behind me, a couple of blocks where you would have trouble walking without protection. And at this time, I was a child. I loved where I grew up. I had a lot of fun there. One of the places that I particularly loved was a swimming pool. There was a neighborhood swimming pool. And there we would interact during the summer with many people from all different backgrounds. And one of those people who came into my life was a dear friend named Eddie. And Eddie was really the opposite of who I was. He was very brash. I was on the quieter side. I was someone who wouldn't take a lot of chances in life. He was someone who was out there taking chances. But we shared a real intellectual curiosity about life, a zest for it. And for a couple of years there, between probably the ages of 13, 14, and maybe 15, 16, he and I were really best of friends. We loved animals. He especially loved animals. He convinced me to get a snake and a turtle. And that was very, very different than anything I would ever done before. We would feed the snake little tiny mice. And he would join me for play practice, and we were on the swim team together. He was the one who would win all the awards, and I would come in third place just because there were 3 swimmers with me. But our lives were very, very different from one another, and I knew that from an early age. He really grew up just those couple of blocks away where things were a lot tougher. He had an apartment. I would sleep over often. And the world that he inhabited and the future that he saw were different. It wasn't just him. It was lots of neighbors and lots of friends that I had. One of my dear friends, JJ, actually was a descendant of Sally Cummings and Thomas Jefferson. There was some real history there. But Eddie and I, as we got to know each other in that moment, we were really inseparable. And then our paths went in very, very different directions. And for 30 years, we really didn't see each other. I knew at some point he had gone off into really bad things and bad times and things that made me scared for him, whether I would ever see him again. And I kind of imagined that section of my life was gone forever, that there was a disconnect. But there's always been that hole, that feeling that those 2 worlds, the world I existed in and the world of others surrounding me, particularly in the African American community, was so very different. And I didn't understand it, and I didn't know how to make it better at all. I still don't. I think I've struggled my whole life to kind of make sense of why my future and others' futures were different, and why our visions were so different from one another, even though we should have had the same capabilities. So lo and behold, in this Facebook world, a couple of years ago, Eddie actually reached out to me. And turns out he is doing great. And actually I invited him to join us on the service, so he might be out there. If you're out there, Eddie, so grateful that you're with us. And it turns out he told me that he wrote a book. And I was a character in that book. I'm going to show you this book here. It's an amazing book. It's called So Much for Happy. And the amazing thing, it was exactly about this experience that I was describing. It's a fictional book, and the central character is not Eddie. It's actually based on his brother. His brother is Christopher. So Christopher Michael, CM as they call him in the book. And he lives in a place called Unhappy. And Unhappy is where all people, they imagine the American flag, but only stripes of red, white, and blue. And each of these are different worlds that people can't go in between. In the red world, there's no reading. There's no life. Everything is put down. Then on top of that, the blue world, it's called hope. And hope is a place which is kind of in between, and then on the top, the white world. So the story is actually about how CM discovers books, and he discovers somewhere up in the distance from him, living in a dramatically different place, he discovers this character, the character of Alex, me. And the story is about his search for this character not really understanding who lives in Unhappy and not thinking to go there. And it's about how these characters join together to kind of ease this divide between the world. Now, he and I actually talked this morning. We haven't talked that much. We had a chance to meet face-to-face in West Philadelphia about 6 months ago, a year ago, I can't even remember. We talked just like old times. He's become a successful writer, and his life is really different, but it's suddenly we have that opportunity. So we're going to pursue this opportunity to tell our story, a very unique story, which is really important for this time. This time is about bringing people together, about removing these lines that we draw between tribes that happened in biblical times and happen now, that lead to really disastrous problems. If this fantasy that Eddie created, that we could bridge this divide, and the ultimate irony is that it takes place in 2020. It's quite amazing. So if we can bridge this divide, he and I, if our world can, if we can really look at each other with empathy, if we can remember the humanity, not just how a person died, but how a person lived, the vitality. If we can do that for people that we don't even know, if we can cross divides, then we can find the blessing, that priestly blessing out there. So I invite you to join us on our journey. I hope that as we figure out how to tell our story, that you'll join in along and listen. I hope you'll tell me your stories. I don't know where everyone is from or how their connection to this difficult time that we're living in. But I think that is the essence of what we do as human beings. We tell stories, and when we do that, we break down worlds and we create better ones. May we be able to do that sometime in our lifetime. So Eddie, wherever you are, God bless you. So grateful to have you as a friend again. So grateful to be reunited. We're going to turn to a beautiful song the cantor has picked. It's actually not the first time I even heard it today. It's a perfect selection. It must be calling to us.
Where did you hear it?
Well, my wife is in a preschool program at Pals Kadima, and the directors, Hava Fried, sang it as well. It was very uncanny. I couldn't believe it. I guess it's really calling to us in this moment.
Peace like a river. It's a traditional spiritual, and yes, it spoke to me, and I would love if you could sing along with me. You don't need a page in the book. You can just sing from the heart, and the words are very simple. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. The next stanza, I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. And the third stanza, I have joy like a fountain. I have joy like a fountain. I have joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. Sing with me. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul.
think that song is all about resilience, finding that deep river inside us, and hopefully not something that divides us. I invite you to rise for Aleinu, page 586.
עלינו לשמר לדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהן, וגורלנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
You may be seated. Let all who dwell on earth acknowledge that unto you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you, Adonai, our God, let them pay homage. Let them give glory to your honored name. Let all accept the yoke of your reign, and you rule for us soon and forever. May sovereign is yours, for sovereignty is yours. To all eternity you will reign in glory, as it is written in your Torah. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Thus it has been said, Adonai will become sovereign of all the earth. On that day, Adonai will become one, and God's name will be one. We turn to the Mourners Kaddish, page 598. This week we are remembering Philip Beckman, Arnold Edelson, Edna Weiss, and I think that we're missing one. I'm so sorry. We're missing Robin's uncle. Somehow it's not on here. I'll get the name from Bruce, and we'll include him next week. My apologies. We're also thinking about Belle de Bruin, Joanne Ehrlich, Nancy Fetz, Gerald Nosnitsky, Bernice Organic, Connie Piero, Renee Primack, Timothy Woods. And on our yard site list from years past, Florence Antonoff, Nathan Berman, Molly Bernhardt, Jerry Berzone, Hyman Brody, Alter Shalom Brown, Beverly Cohen, Eva Mae Craden, Bruna Elkin, Trudy Elwood, Jacob Erlin, Lance Alden Fertig, Isabel Fox, Jeffrey Gellin, Janet Glasser, Hyman Green, Martin Habenstock, Robert L. Hirsch, Blanche Joseph, Marianne Kaplan, Claire Larkey, Alois Lemansky, Ida Mackler, Irving Ostroff, Lila Padikoff, Marvin Palanker, Cecilia Pohl, Ira L. Posner, Anna Price, Eliyahu Puyas, Dr. Reverend Elijah Revo, Esther Robinson, Harold Rosenthal, Barbara A. Simon, William Slonim, Nettie Spector, Blanche Sabatnik, Lillian Cohn Snyder, France Takiff, Cora Vizzi, George Weintraub, Kenset Whitcomb, and Maury Zeldis. And I believe Bruce is going to tell me what the name is. I'm so sorry, Robin. That was Robin Adler's uncle. Okay. Harold Breutman. Thank you. Bruce, you read my mind. So Harold Breutman as well, and Robin, we're sending prayers to you. If you have other names, I think we'll also say George Floyd, And we're also thinking about all those who have perished of COVID as well. And we bring all those names into our hearts. I invite you, Cantor, did you have anyone you wanted to add?
Well, my sister's name was called tonight, so.
What's your sister's name?
Trudy Elwood.
Well, may her memory be a blessing. Do you want to tell us about her at all?
I don't think I could sum up her life. She has 4 children and 8 grandchildren, and she led a splendid life, a very happy marriage, and much to do about family and her career, and very loving husband. And she was very astute in computer programming before there was even such a label for that, and made her career in that, and very good in math and everything. And she had a big smile, and really nice person.
Beautiful. Well, I feel her spirit among us. So say your names out there if there are people that you're thinking about, and all whose custom it is to rise. We have a virtual minyan. Please join in on the Mourners Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach herete, v'yamlik malchute, v'chayachon v'yamechon v'chayeh dechol beit Yisrael, b'agalal v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah v'rach le'olam olmei almaya, yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudusha v'rechu, le'la min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran v'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'yimramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. May God bring peace, peace to the mourners, peace to all of us. And we say amen. Zikranam livracha. May their memories always be for a blessing. All right, since Bruce and I are on the same wavelength, and I know he's paying attention, so we're going to call him up to offer our announcements.
Hello again, Rabbi.
Thank you, Bruce, for saving me.
No problem.
You're on. You're ready.
Okay, great. Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. Thank you, Rabbi Alex and Cantor Frank, for a really meaningful service tonight. This has been, as I mentioned earlier, a really difficult week for Buffalo and Western New York, and I think we needed a service like this tonight, and you provided it. We have a lot coming up over the weekend. Our Saturday morning virtual offerings include Torah study at 9 a.m., the Shabbat morning service, followed by a virtual Kiddush luncheon at 11. All events will be available via Zoom. Go to the website for the links. Sunday night, 7 o'clock, we will have Meditation Moment with Dr. Yanina Foster via Zoom. Shavetta's returns on Tuesday. It's from 4 to 7 or until sold out. Pre-order dinners are $10. They're $11 at the door. To pre-order, please visit our website. And again, to those of you that were in that incredibly long line last time, we apologize. We have made corrections. That's why we will have a separate line for pre-orders. And please do pre-order. It will make things easier for you and for us. The event is drive-through only. The Women of Shir Shalom will be meeting Thursday night at 7 p.m. versus via Zoom. Go to the website for the registration link. It is graduation season. If you or any of your family members, immediate family members, are graduating this spring, we would like to know so we can send a celebratory care package. Please let us know the name and the type of graduation and a picture as well, because they'll be featured in our next newsletter. Contact Joanne, either email joanne.markazy@gmail.com or call her 432-2995. The deadline for that is June 15th. Next weekend, as I mentioned earlier, we are back in the parking lot for our next Park and Pray. Sheila Bernard Tucker came up with that name. I can't take credit for it. But we will be doing our Havdalah service, and this time we're also going to add an American Songbook Selections. That starts at 8 o'clock. It's on Saturday, June 13th. The service and music will take about 45 minutes, please RSVP to Joanne. You must stay in your vehicle. You must bring a mask. The building will be closed. That, of course, includes the bathrooms. If you can't make it in person, it will be on live stream. It'll be on Facebook, and then the replay will be on YouTube. But that's Saturday, June 13th. Don't forget our Shir Shalom outreach program, which connects members who are able to help other members. We're still looking for you if you would like to receive phone calls or if you need help with groceries or prescriptions. If you're interested, please contact Nancy McGorry in the Temple office. I just want to mention, I saw a story online this week about how seniors who are at risk of loneliness during this time, people who are isolated, are really benefiting from these calling programs and are forming new friendships with the people that are making the calls. And I've heard from a number of our members who are receiving the phone calls who have told me just how meaningful it is. So if you are not yet doing the phone calls and would like to help out, contact Nancy. And if you're not receiving phone calls and would like them, also contact Nancy. It's really benefiting people. And we are a family, and families come together at a time like this. As the rabbi mentioned earlier, we miss you in the sanctuary. I miss being in the sanctuary. Send your pictures in. Rabbi, just so you know, I sent Nancy my picture, and I want it on the chair on the bima behind you, because that's usually where you find me. Email your picture to Nancy at nancy.mcgorry@shirshalombuffalo.org, and thank you to everyone who has already sent in their pictures. Next Friday, of course, we will have our candle lighting via Zoom at 6:45, Erev Shabbat service at 7, via live stream. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. If you need anything at all, please contact the rabbi, the cantor, myself, or Joanne. We are here for you. Have a wonderful Shabbat and stay safe.
Bruce, while I have you on, by the way, Nancy did put your mom Rella in her own seat, her favorite seat. So just letting you know.
Excellent.
It's
Excellent.
pictures on Facebook. All right, take care. Thanks, Bruce, for everything.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, we're going to go back to that beautiful song, Peace Like a River.
You know it now? Just sing with me. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. It's the truth. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul.
Beautiful. Before we lift up our challah, I forgot two things. First of all, when we have this wonderful concert that Mike and Arlene Cantor will be performing, the American classics next Saturday night, bring your flags. Wave whatever flag you'd like to bring, and that's a wonderful way to show pride to each other. Also should let you know I did get notified that their NAACP is holding a rally at Martin Luther King Park on Sunday at 2. There's information on the web. So let's lift up our challahs. Wherever you are, if you're like my wife, she made a rainbow challah. I don't know how she did it. It was a lot of food coloring, though. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Blessed are you, God, who helps us bring forth bread from the earth. And we say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, be well.
May the Lord protect and defend you. May God always shield you from shame. May you come to be in Israel a shining name. May you be like Ruth and like Esther. May you be deserving of praise. Strengthen us, O Lord, and keep us from the stranger's ways. May God bless you and grant you long life. May God keep you and shield you from strife. May the Lord protect and defend you. May God always shield you from shame. Favor us, O Lord, with happiness and peace. Oh, hear our Sabbath prayers. Amen. May the Lord protect and defend you. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.